Is 5:30.
Recording in progress.
Thank you, Molly. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Town of Ulysses Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee meeting for today, September 4th, 2004. We're starting at 5:30. Before we get into the agenda, can we do a roll call of the committee members, both in person and on remote? I guess it's not a roll call. Why don't we go around names?
Would you like me to start since
Sure.
you're looking at me?
Go. Yeah.
Mo Klein, Planning Board.
Carl Klinkowski, Planning Board.
Liz Weatherby, I'm vice chair sitting in for the chair for Ann DePetta today because she's not available, and town board member.
Travis Salinas, committee member.
Roxanne Marino, Conservation Sustainability Advisory Council rep.
And I think we have one member of the committee on via Zoom.
Hi, it's Karen, town supervisor.
Thank you. All right, so we do have an agenda that was sent around last week. It's available online for anybody who might be calling in or watching this later. So I can go through the agenda line by line, but if there are any comments, questions, concerns, additions that we'd like. The first couple items are our typical.
Well, first
items.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
So there's no changes?
None
Everybody's
for
good
me.
with making these discussions? All right. So there's a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All in favor?
I,
I forgot to vote myself. All right. So we have an agenda set for today. First after the approval of the agenda is the approval of past minutes. So we did have minutes circulated for our August 1st meeting. Has everybody had a chance to look at those?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Did anybody have any edits or comments on the August 1st?
Yep, good, but do we have a forum? So I guess we do, maybe do
I think now.
now.
yeah, we have one.
I'm not sure we do. Anyway, okay, just check.
No.
But other than that, I thought it was.
Well, then I'll make a motion to approve the August 1st meeting minutes.
Great, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, if there are no further comments, questions, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, so that was everybody here. Yes. All right, so the next item on the agenda is privilege of the floor. And the privilege of the floor is an opportunity for the public to provide any comments or address any concerns that they have for items that are not related to the agenda. There might be some opportunities today for the public to comment on specific items on the agenda. So this privilege of the floor is for items that are not on the agenda. So each member of the public who wants to provide comments has 3 minutes to do so. We'll keep track of it and ask that you just get us the information you want to share with us, but try to keep it within the condensed 3 minutes. So we don't have any public in person. Is there anybody online who wishes to? Kim? We can feel free to come off mute, Kim, and I will start my timer whenever you're ready.
I actually don't have any public comment. I'm just introducing myself. I'm Kim Moore. I'm going to be trying to attend as many of these meetings as I can. Homeowner in Town Ulysses and a business owner, in fact, an infamous development district business owner. So what happens with this comprehensive plan directly affects us and our livelihood. So I would just had been working with the planning board most recently, and Niels has been fantastic to work with and clued me in that this was kind of going on again. So just let you know that I'm the person lurking in the background. I'll probably stay off camera because I'm going to be multitasking, but that's who I am. That's the only reason why I'm here. No nefarious purposes, just listening in and hoping that I can understand where the comprehensive plan is going and how businesses, particularly development districts like us, are going to fit into the plan.
Great, no, we welcome all the participation we can get from folks, so feel free to chime in at any point later if there's other opportunities for public comment as well. And
Thank you.
Could you say what your business is?
I know it.
Oh, but I would like to know.
Oh, you can tell me, would you mind sharing? Sorry, yes, would you mind sharing what your business is?
Oh, it's Moore's Marine.
Oh, okay.
And there you go. You say the name and everybody goes, now infamous.
I didn't look. I was just listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for answering that.
You are welcome.
I didn't look. I didn't hear the
All
first
right.
part of it.
Okay, so there is nobody else in person, there's nobody online, there will be. No, there is not today, a second privilege of the floor, that's different meetings. So let's move right into the old business. I guess before that, do I have to, motion to close the privilege of the floor?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll
Second.
second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm not used to this cherry. Last time I had to do it was just interviews, so it was easier. Okay, so for the first up under old business items, 5A, we have review and amend the draft public involvement plan. So we do have Matt and his team here from our consulting firm that we can have an open discussion. Hopefully folks got to review the PIP or the public involvement plan before the meeting today, so we can discuss any questions or items you have and see what the next steps are with it. So,
Sure, well, I'm gonna quickly defer to Niels because he's the author of the PIP, but before I do that, I want to introduce Angelina White. She's a planner on our team, a superstar planner, and she's gonna be supporting us on this effort. But we did have opportunity to review the PIP. We don't have any structural or content recommendations at this point beyond what's here. It's great, but it needs to be localized, and we want to make sure that that everything here is reflective of the committee's intent. We're looking forward to supporting on it. So Niels, I'll defer to you.
thank you, Matt. Yes.
So this was drafted and the committee reviewed it almost a year ago. It's basically been in draft mode since then until we got to this point with our consultant and everything. As you said, as Matt said, they reviewed it. They didn't have any major changes. Our DEC people also reviewed it and they had no changes as well. So at this point, it'd be whatever minor tweaks, changes you'd all like to see before we move forward. One thing is that there's no state requirement or anything else for the town to officially adopt this. I think it is best practice, however, for in this case, our town board to also review it, and I'm hoping they'll make a resolution to adopt it. And that way, not only just the committee and people who might be focused on just the committee have an opportunity to look at this, but also it gets on the town board's platform as well. So. That's it. And I think Elizabeth had some final questions that last night, today, I don't know if you checked on it. Most of it was through SharePoint, so if you're still having issues with SharePoint, that might be why.
I find like if I get links, then I can get to it, no problem.
Yeah, that's true, me too, it's a lot easier to go.
So if you can just keep doing that.
So you
And
were
also
able to get
just
everything?
that jogs the memory, like, there's comments here, look before, look, because otherwise you have to think to go look and see if there's comments written in, so. Yeah, that would be helpful if you wouldn't mind. Okay. And then it might help us out to think, we're just doing the same thing. Because we remember that it's there and we can access it.
I think the only question I'd have to committee members, if it's like, we don't have a brand right now. There's like no main brand name. You don't have to have one, but a lot of communities will do something like Plan Ulysses or One Ulysses or something. So if you look at the PIP, that's kind of what that at the very top, that title is.
I really like the photo.
I believe that was Michelle Wright.
Oh, yeah.
Who took that.
I only have like some weird nitpicky things. And, but if anybody had any deeper things they wanted to talk about.
I have one question, and what it, we're.
You should go
worse. The one question is on the public and stakeholders, I remember when we brainstormed that, and it's this whole 2 pages long list of things. And so then, is that, when it says we're gonna inform stakeholders and all, are we gonna send out things to all? I mean, are we saying in this that the intent is to regularly send things to that whole list, or just inform people that we're doing it on that list and ask if they would like to be kept abreast, and here's the website? I'm just wondering what we're doing with that list, which is very long, and will take someone a lot of time to keep regularly.
Yeah,
deal
so
with.
good question. My concept, like what we've done in the past, is once, say the town board reviews it, adopts it, resolution, is that basically kickstarts everything. And so we would do a postcard notification with a link to this document on our website. And yes, we have money in the budget to do postcards to all property owners and or residents of the town, along with our stakeholders here.
So it'd be a one-time notice, and then they can keep up.
Yep.
We won't keep sending, unless we need to targetly, get more out of a subset, more input for some reason.
Correct,
How many
and public
documents?
hearings.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, thank you.
Mhm.
And I guess, since I'm talking, I'll just say my nitpicky thing, and then, which is, under the role of decision makers, it talks about the comp plan steering committee. And then it says the committee's meetings are open to the public, advertised on the town's website. Then it says the planning commission will review the draft plan. And I think that means that's just taken out of some other language and not changed to the comp plan steering committee.
Yep, that
Because
was,
there isn't any planning commission, right? Or maybe that was Liz's comment. that I
Yeah, I have the
agree.
same comment.
Okay.
That was my
Anyway,
I think
question.
we're all on the same
How
page.
come the
Right.
planning board isn't really listed as a decision maker? Since we're the ones that use the comp plan.
the direction is the town board is actually the decision maker, and the authority was given to the committee to review and make a recommendation to the town board. They don't give that authority to any other committee or board, so it's the comp plan committee that reviews this first and foremost, and then you guys issue a resolution or something eventually to the town board. So with that, that's why we wanted members of the BZA, the comp plan, or the planning board, other committees to be engaged. So you are here and Carl's here as.
Oh, I know
your
that,
liaison.
but I mean, we have other committee members in the planning board and they're not here. And they might have their 2 cents to put in also.
They had chance to give me opportunity, or, over the last year and also before today, so.
Okay,
Well, and I think, as it says on page 7, the planning board will be briefed on what's going on with this committee, whether it's you guys, whether it's me coming, Roxanne coming, somebody, one of us coming periodically to present to the planning board how it's going.
but remember, the planning board uses the comp plan. So if there's something in here that's wrong, there's no way we can tell. I mean, we can tell you, but
Well, just because you're not a decision maker doesn't mean you can't provide input. It's just ultimately it's up to the town board to approve it, but there's the whole review process that I'd imagine we're gonna want feedback of the planning board. We're not gonna do anything without you
well,
guys.
yeah, since we
Agreed,
use it, that, I
exactly.
mean, that's what we use.
Yeah,
And if there's something in there that's incorrect, then we're out of luck. We just have to let it go by.
no, well, there's gonna be plenty of opportunities, I have a feeling, over the next year to make sure that there's nothing that's incorrect.
What do you think as the chairman?
Well, I think internally, if they start coming out in chunks, like chapters and that sort of stuff. I think we would just put it on our agenda to actually review that chapter as it becomes available. To give us an opportunity to provide feedback while this is being created, instead of waiting till after it's done and then trying to change it. And with you and me both here, I think one of us should be paying attention enough to capture it.
And there's Rebecca too, but she's not here.
Yeah. Well, she's no longer on the planning board,
Nope.
but we'll deliberately add it to our agenda as a specific item on there as the chapters become available to give us an early on opportunity to get our 2 cents in on this, since we live with it probably more than most other folks in the town.
No, I would support that. And it probably would be to a lesser extent on some of the other boards too, like CSAC, we're gonna want your input, ag committee, we're gonna want the input, beauty committee, like that, and that's why everybody's listed as stakeholders. Because
So on page 8, it says, you know, page 7 has that little sentence about the planning board, but then page 8 says town advisory committees and commissions. And then it says these groups will review and provide feedback on components of the draft. And so maybe that sentence could also be added to the planning board, just to really clearly pull it up higher on page 7, just to clearly state that, you know, that's what we want as part of this plan is also, as all of these groups that have representation on them. I mean, that was my understanding, and that's what I've told my committee that I'd be doing is, as we have chunks, I bring it back. You read it, if we have comments that relate to conservation sustainability, then bring them back here. So I think that's the structure that we're thinking with regard to putting reps on this committee, right? So maybe just adding that same sentence, the planning board will review and provide feedback on components of the draft plan, and then it says land use, housing, environment, transportation, etc. So we can just put it there formally, just adds one sentence to the bullets, and then it makes it super clear.
I don't have any problem with that addition. I think it's.
And you might want to include the BCA somewhere, just say also the BCA.
Well, yeah, definitely,
To let
yeah,
them
both of
know.
them.
Yeah, because they might have some helpful inputs along the
Oh,
way, too,
definitely,
just from the perspective they deal with. So I don't know where to put that other than, you know, they're listed as a stakeholder, but you could have another bullet that just says the BZA meets whenever they meet. I forgot Wednesdays, and same thing.
Mhm.
So I guess I'd suggest doing that just so that it makes it really clear that those groups are gonna be looking at it step by step, or we'd like them to, and bring back the input from their group. Anyway, I guess that became less than it was good.
So mine's pretty good.
I think it went, I think it was good and it brought up some concerns. I think
Yeah.
Mo might have been.
No, I was just joking because I took over. my-
No, it took me that long to find it. I
Okay.
didn't have it, I already had my. So I'm having problems with, the purpose of this document is to identify the role of the PIP, identify the community stakeholders. I think the word identify, for some reason, like it almost makes it like we don't know what it is and we're trying to find it.
Yeah.
But, and I don't know if anyone else thought it was an odd choice of word. I just thought, for some reason, that seemed like a weird word choice.
Specify.
And you're looking at.
So that's the thing, like, we know what it is,
Yeah.
we're just trying to share it and
Is to, yeah,
make it
articulate the
clear
goal,
or,
or,
I
yeah.
don't know. So, yeah, I'm not
State the
giving you a better
goal.
word, am I? No.
Yeah.
Maybe by tomorrow I can come up with a better word. And my other, like,
Detail.
yeah, I guess I feel like we know what we're just trying to share it with people. This was afternoon reading, and then my only other, and this is just sort of formatting, but when we're identifying all the stakeholders, the members of the public stakeholders, like it just sort of spills over to the next page. And so it's just confusing whether it's wrapping up above, you know what I mean? I feel like there's someone who can lay things out, could do a better job.
So there was another format question or comment that Liz gave. If you're looking at a document in OneNote or SharePoint, it can mess up with formatting for some reason.
Oh, okay.
So if you're looking, however, at the website, that's how the document finally looks. And so for our members and
Oh, gotcha.
stakeholders, it's just two. I don't know a way to fix that, but it's always been a gripe for several years with me.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Cause it just, I thought that was it, and then there was more on the next page, and it was just sort of unclear. And I think, like somewhere they list like state parks, but I didn't find like Taganic Park listed, like more, like individually. I don't know if we would be dealing on the local level. I tried to find it, but I couldn't find. Like, there's the Office of Parks, Recreation and Historic Preservation, but I just didn't know if there was something more local. Or if we just go directly through the state, you know what I mean?
I think folks that work at Gigantic are part of OPRHP.
Yes. So I
There's
just
a
didn't
local-
know, like, you know, like you talked to
Maybe-
Fred, so
yeah.
he's the regional director. You know, I just didn't know if he would want, if we should reach out to him, that he might have more to say than the parks who are in Albany.
For that one, we can do like a slash or hyphen and then just put together, because they're really.
Yeah, I mean, but you, I don't know if you are also would be in contact with the state.
would be
Probably would have
both,
to
yeah.
talk to them for general information, cultural resources, that kind of
Right.
stuff, that's all under the same office.
And then I wasn't sure, like what the Boy Scout camp is called now.
It doesn't have a name.
Okay, but I know there's like a separate sort of.
It's
group
the
for
Three Falls
agencies.
LLC, we probably
Okay.
can add it
Yeah.
as another,
I just thought something might come up that would affect them
yeah, they're technically they're not in the town.
at all.
They're
Town
north of
Culver.
the,
There's lots of things that are on the town on this list.
Okay.
But we definitely.
Yeah, it's just, you know, the line is there.
Yeah.
But I got it,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, no, there's things on the list that aren't in the town. So I think it would still be worth just keeping in touch with the folks there.
So, and then we have a federal government heading with a bullet with nothing,
I
so
haven't,
maybe we don't want that.
haven't found.
We're waiting to see what happens.
The only federal agencies would be, you know, things like FEMA,
Right,
those, but I haven't found any lands owned by federal
Right.
agencies, and that's normally where we do it, but.
Yeah.
Emergency management. That's a federal.
Yeah, but normally when
FEMA.
we're thinking stakeholders and something like this, it's a landowner or a property owner. And I'm not gonna be reaching out necessarily to FEMA unless you tell me to, just say, hey, we're working on our comp plan. I don't think they care.
Well, who knows? They might have some information.
Yeah, the Finger Lakes Forest is the only thing I can think of. That's-
Do you usually see like federal agencies?
Not typically, through the secret process, you know, we, in a coordinated review situation, there might be an agency that we do outreach. to.
Yeah, typically, if you have a comprehensive plan, you're doing the adoption process, it's usually an interested agency, so you'd have the county, you'd have the planning board, and then you'd have the neighboring municipalities, that's typically who you would see on there, that you would coordinate with.
If there were, you know, affected federal lands or adjacent federal lands.
Exactly. Or like US Fish and Wildlife, like if there was endangered species or anything like that you're concerned with, you could certainly add them out too.
Yeah, we haven't gone down that path, but. Teeny species yet. So do we want to just, for now, I mean, there is a note, one of my comments had been. Just to try to add, not being repetitive of. A comment up above where we talk about this. Plan could be updated throughout the process, but that this is not a static list, that it could be
Right,
updated. So I think you had added a change, like periodic update planning process.
yeah, it's not at all.
So that it can be updated if we do find federal lands or,
Right,
something that would trigger an agency to be added to this, we can come back and add it and update it later. What other comments, questions did folks have? Mine were very nitpicky. Like capitalizing town. That's how nitpicky I got.
well, under the other, on the list, there's a lot. That have question marks after them, so if we're gonna finalize this, we probably don't wanna leave. Things with question marks, do we? I mean, I guess we could, but it's just, it's a question, do we want to leave things with question marks on the list?
We don't.
Okay,
I mean, for the others. I can't
I mean, we could just take them off and they could be added later if we haven't thought of any.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, like the Cayuga Wine Trail, I think we should have. I
Yeah.
think that's a,
The art trail also, there's a lot. of
Yep.
People in Trumansburg that do that.
yeah. I think I feel comfortable right now taking the American Trucking Association off,
Right.
but knowing that we could add that back in if we find out that there's
Right.
something local. Healthcare providers, we do have, well,
You know,
Trumansburg Travel, Trumansburg Family Health is technically cooler. Okay, there's a couple other, there's Jacksonville, so we can leave that in,
Which,
just healthcare providers.
Hammerstone School is now in Ithaca.
Oh, they
She
moved?
moved, yes, she
Oh, I
moved.
didn't know that.
She has a place, she opened a place in Ithaca.
Oh, good for her.
delete that one. So other advisory committees, we could probably.
Yeah, I was thinking that she still has her Jacksonville place, that that was like additional.
Oh, no, they
Oh.
moved everything.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she was having, it was too small, the barn that they were using, so she got a place down in Ithaca. Because she couldn't teach in the winter, the barn wasn't heated,
Right.
so she moved everything.
I think neighborhood associations, we could just get rid of the question mark.
Yeah.
And then. We don't have to list them out, but we have some. In other advisory committees, we can get rid of the question mark, and then if we get another one, we can put it on there.
ESL groups and ADA groups,
Yeah.
I would like to be inclusive. But I don't know what groups are available, so I couldn't tell you right now,
Yeah,
one way or the other, besides like get it out. I wanna make sure we're including everybody. So maybe just get rid of the question mark and we can always define those later.
Mhm.
I know that doesn't help with postcards, but.
No.
We can get that.
if this is for, oh, I'm sorry, where the postcards go for Tonkin, I would say the planning and sustainability department, because they're the ones who probably be the ones who. Be the most interested. Oh, there's a hand up.
Yeah, Kim?
Sorry, I didn't know if it's appropriate to ask questions, but how come some businesses are listed individually and others aren't? Like Hammerstone, right? They're right around the corner from us, we know them. But how did that flow out? Because in the beginning, it lists the stakeholders as like the public and business owners, but then under that other list, you have some businesses specifically defined as stakeholders. How did that decision flow down?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a bit, I saw it as a school. I also came on new, when I first drafted this, I didn't know most of these. I thought it was a school. I didn't realize it's a business.
Yeah,
So-
it's a business school. It's a
It is,
school
it's
and
both. Yeah. Okay, sorry. That was just my, oops. That was my question. Sorry, my touchpad. I didn't mean to interrupt, but that was what I was asking. And Niels, I get it, right? Like, it's hard to tell. So the intent is to keep the businesses sort of lumped into the initial stakeholders and not individually list some businesses, but not others.
Yes, my previous experiences, I mean, not that we have a whole lot of businesses here in Ulysses, but you could have hundreds and thousands, and so we just say, you know.
Yep.
business.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It makes more sense to be cohesive and just say businesses because people come and go and who knows. Thank you. I appreciate.
That is a good question. So do we wanna, just to be consistent, pull out the Hammerstone School Carpentry now?
Yeah.
One, because it's in Ithaca, and two,
no, just leave it because they still live there.
I mean, they'll get a notice because
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
residents of the
So
town.
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yes, right, they still live there and they run their business out of that, even though their school is down in Ithaca, they
Yeah.
still run everything in Ulysses, so I would leave it there, yes.
Okay. Okay,
So was that a yes to get rid of or yes to delete?
No, I would leave it where it is.
as long as we know local businesses in general are all welcome and.
Yeah.
We'll make sure. We get some notifications out to them too, to make sure they're involved. Any other questions? And if not, I know it's 6 o'clock, and we still have to get to some upcoming stuff, so. One of the thoughts of Neil's had mentioned was. There might be some little things to finesse or fix up, such as deleting some of the question marks. Do we get this in front of the town board to review and provide a resolution of approval to adopt it? One, to just make sure the town board is aware of what's going on with the comp plan steering committee, and two, to kind of make this more of an official document. Not that it's not official now, but it's just with that resolution, it would kind of put the stamp on it, but I'm open to thoughts.
Well, I'd be in favor of that, and to keep the whole process going, you know, to. Make changes rather than wait till our next meeting before we look at it and that sort of stuff. I think we're early enough in the process at this point that if we had to go back and change something that. Didn't come out exactly right, we could still fix it.
Well, it does, right here at the last page. On the
Yeah.
second paragraph, it does say that we can go back and change it if there's any additional.
Yeah, but I think we'd make the changes we discussed and get it to the town board for their.
That sounds great. And then the other
Correction.
question marks, like, looks like you can just fill all that stuff. One thing I do have a question to Matt, I guess, is like this time, does the timeline still work? Like if we're gonna say this is the plan?
Yeah, I think it's generally aligned. The idea. We can reposition, depending on the board's or on the committee's preference, we can reposition some of the recommendations in our project plan. Or if you like the way the project plan flows, we can rework the scheduling here, but generally, this initial outreach and assessment, things like focus groups and the early visioning work that happens nearly perfectly aligned there. The drafting of the plan, and finalizing the plan. I think with some minor adjustment.
Or so maybe we just say, projected project
Yeah, that's-
timeline or something like that, just to,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, it does say projected timeline.
No, it
Is that
says
what you meant?
project
Oh,
timeline.
project, okay.
So you could just add an EV there, and then it's
Yeah.
projected time. And then that way it's not completely locked, but as long as it basically meshes, I thought it did, but
Yeah,
I
I
just
think
wanted to
so.
check.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
So do we need a motion to accept it? And send it to the town board?
yeah, and I think we just need to make a decision. It might be easiest for us to have Niels prepare a memo like he's done on projects in the past, especially between how he did some of it today, but then also between the planning board and the town board. Or we could draft a resolution. Where we actually write out
The
exactly.
resolution, yes.
Yes,
But that would have to take next meeting. And that will delay it another month. And it's now September.
Yep.
And the outreach is from September to December.
Yep.
Doesn't give us a lot of time.
Yep.
So I would
Uh-huh.
rather make a motion to send it to the town board with any adjustments that Neil is making on it right now that we've asked for.
okay,
just a short memo from Niels. Yeah.
okay, so we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
Okay, well, can I call a vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Then let's get that done and we'll see how fast Niels can move. We do have a meeting coming up Tuesday.
He's typing away, he's typing,
But I have a feeling
yes.
it might fall into the 24th meeting, which is our second meeting in September, but we'll see.
But that would still be before we meet
No,
again.
definitely,
Yeah.
no, we have two meetings
It's
before
just that
we
we're,
meet
yeah,
again.
it's just that we're running out
Yeah.
of time because
Yeah, so it's not only Niels, it'll be Caitlin, how fast she can move to get the packet ready.
Put
for
it
the
right
town
on
board
top of
meeting
the
on
list.
Tuesday. Yeah. I don't know, Caitlin, if you have any thoughts of whether we can make the 10th or,
So I think, I mean, I think that I'd like to give the town board time to review it, and if we have 2 meetings before the next one, and if it's not gonna delay the comp plan steering committee, then my recommendation would be just to have it on the 24th when there's a little bit more space on the agenda. Get it out to the town board sooner than that meeting packet, so people have a chance to review it and think about it and review the memo and all of that. And then it'll still be done before it comes back to the comp plan steering committee. Does that work for everybody?
Are we supposed to be starting though on the outreach? Or,
Not until this is,
Well, do we have to
I
have
don't
this approved?
we
Why
think
don't
so.
have to have it approved. This is
Yeah.
gonna be more of just ensuring that the town board knows what's going on and is good and satisfied with the way we're gonna reach out.
Right.
Which kind of goes to one of the comments we'll talk about later about websites and so forth. But I do think there are some things we can still be doing in the background.
well, yes, we have to.
Yes,
Well, and the organizing, setting dates. for
exactly. So
meetings,
there's
I mean,
still lots of stuff that we can be doing. If this doesn't officially get approved by the town board or adopted by the town board until the 24th, that shouldn't be holding some of the other activities up.
Because
So
the
we'll keep
outreach is
doing
gonna
it.
take some time, and
Yes, we can be
and
planning.
there's holidays coming up and whatever, so
Exactly.
it's gonna be tough.
So we've voted. Niels, you can prepare a memo, thank you. Summarizing the PIP, the work that's been done into it, what the goals are and stuff. We'll get it to the town board to review. And then we'll look for it to be on the agenda at the 24th to adopt.
Mhm.
Okay. Great. Next item, I lost my agenda. Okay, so. Old business, website, digital media, public presence. So, Matt, I'll call you up here to talk through some thoughts that you guys have in terms of making sure we're getting our info out.
Yeah, so where we left it after at the last meeting was the committee had asked for some examples of similar project websites that have been developed with our team. And we provided those. So the question at hand really was, we got the town website now. That's been housing all of the materials for the comprehensive plan steering committee. That is a resource that everybody knows where it is. The town has a Facebook presence, social media presence, that they can point back to that website with a whole base of followers. Everybody knows where to go to get that information. And so one of 2 things can happen. One, we just continue to rely on that tool as our kind of 365, 24/7, open all day, all night resource for housing of documents and materials and announcements. Or we can point people to that site where there'd be a link to that town webpage where there would be a link to a full-blown project website. Either one of those works for us, and so I guess that we would just look to the steering committee for your pleasure on whether you'd like to see a standalone website or just continue to house the documents on the town site.
Which would be updated faster.
So faster, I can't answer for. The town staff certainly has a process and their own capacity conversations. From our standpoint, if it's to be housed on the town website, what will happen is we will prepare the information, we will get it to your team will get it through its appropriate protocols and get it posted to the site. What will happen pending this committee's determination, what we would recommend to happen if you had a standalone site is that we would manage the content that would go up on the website. So that up on the project website, so that anytime someone came to the town website and clicked that link, they would be looking at whatever we uploaded last. There's still internal protocols to be had, right? We want you to decide as a committee, what's appropriate to be posted, what's not appropriate to be posted. We've got some recommendations in the project plan here that say when things happen. So for example, you're going to generate tonight, you approved meeting notes. The meeting notes were developed a week ago or longer. And we would not propose to put those meeting notes up until you saw them and you checked the box. Yes, we approved those. So in the project plan, you'll see there's a lag, right? So in September, we're posting the August meeting notes, even though the August meeting notes have been generated weeks ago. That's intentional. We want to make sure that we're not posting anything that you all haven't seen and vetted and felt comfortable with. So the benefit, I would say, to a standalone project website is it takes some work off the staff's plate in terms of content management and the dynamics of the website. But that's on the committee to determine. And you saw I'm sorry, you saw the links and what the sites are capable of.
Yeah, absolutely. Caitlin, I see your hand up.
Yeah, the one thing I was gonna say is that it's actually a bit, because of policies that have been adopted by the town board, it actually would require the town board to weigh in on this. Because the town does have a policy where we have identified a communications manager, and that's our town clerk. And pretty much, well, everything really that is posted on the town's website, that is posted on social media, all funnels through her. And the town board had a rationale for adopting that policy. So I think it'd be great to get a recommendation from the committee on this. But if the recommendation is that it's being outsourced and town communications are not funneling through our designated communication manager, it would require the town board to accept that and amend the policy. So just to throw that out there.
And if we wanted to do that, we can make it very specific that for this purpose of the comp plan steering committee,
Right.
we
Well,
offer
that's all it would be.
just to,
Yeah.
but,
I am a fan of the standalone. I don't love the town website. I just feel like. And also if it would take, work off of, the town, I think that makes sense.
And I would be in favor of it also.
So if you looked
Yeah.
at the examples, like, I think that Vision Zero was the
Right.
first one. If you look, if I can do this backwards, like, the town's website doesn't have this flexibility for hoops and whistles. It's very static, and like what you see here is basically like the extent for what we can do. It's, we can bold something and highlight something and put links on, but that this is pretty much it.
I think as long as we can meet the town's concerns and requirements, it's way better, just way less work on Niels and Carissa. There's so much else they have to do.
yeah,
And it, like you said, it's quicker, it's more reactive, it's more informative and reactive.
The only problem would be that most people, when they ask me questions, they say, so what's going on in the town? I have to tell them, go to the town website. Where is it? I said, well, you type in Town of Ulysses and you'll find it. So most people don't even know that we have a town website or that there's even information on it. Because they look at the planning board when I tell them, well, look at the agenda on the planning board. Where is it? I have to go through and tell them where it is. So I think maybe a standalone might be a good idea. And also make it so that even if we have to put signs up around Ulysses, this is where it is. So people will find it. Because otherwise we're gonna get the same complaints. People are gonna ask me, so where is it? We're not gonna carry a card around here. Here's the address. Go find
Well,
it.
we're sending a postcard
and I
too,
think,
right?
Yeah,
and there'd be a link, if they could get to the town website, if they don't know exactly
right,
like how to get to this specific.
right.
Website,
That's
there'd
what
be
I'm
a
saying.
link.
Yeah, if it's a
But
separate
yeah,
link.
I think we definitely should include it on the Facebook page.
Right, exactly. Everything.
and
Everything.
Everything,
We'll have it at their public meetings, maybe they
Yeah.
could have a refrigerator.
Well,
I was
we could use a QR code.
that's exactly where I was going. What I was, what we've had luck with in, on other plans is, if there's a particular event where there's gonna be tables or things like
Yeah.
that.
Big QR code.
Big
right.
QR code, people walk up, snap it, we put it in the windows here, we put it
Yeah.
in storefronts that would be supportive of that in downtown,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. Where it catches somebody's eye and they say, oh yeah, I heard about the comp plan, and they can literally snap it right there.
Exactly, yeah.
So there's lots of distribution opportunities on this.
So we put it on the postcard that we're sending to everybody, we'll have it. We could have refrigerator.
Yeah, that
Keep
sounds
it right
great.
in
The
front of
calendar
them.
this
No,
year,
it's
actually.
true. It's like little things. keep
Yeah, they
these
didn't,
people
they
away.
didn't send out like the hard pages.
Cause then people lose
It's
the
just, it's a
paper.
magnet that goes
Yeah.
on your thing with a QR code. so
Right,
you can look at the
cause
calendar
people
whenever.
lose the paper. We can
Yeah.
look at that. We should look at how much that costs. It might not be that much. It'd be worth it.
All right,
What we-
so first step before we do any of this is that we're gonna have to get the town board to adopt an amendment to the policy.
Mhm.
So I was just thinking that too. I'll see if, what do we need for the adoption? Just to work with you, Niels, on, sorry.
That's okay, I'm in your way.
Just provide some language, recommended language to modify the policy, right? Would we need and we would probably ask for a memo too from this group
Mhm.
saying that this committee has the recommendation to do this to allow a specific project-specific website to be created for the comp plan.
Yeah, I can draft up a quick memo
That
for
was
this one
like
too.
through our.
Well, I'll make a motion to that effect.
Okay. So you're making a motion to have Niels prepare a memo with the
Right.
recommend that we're providing.
Or a standalone site.
Yes,
for the
stand on
comp
one
plan.
site.
I'll second it.
Second, Carl, all in favor?
Aye.
And that might be something I can get on the board for next Tuesday.
If you can, yes. Time is running out. so
Yeah.
We really have to
I
move.
don't know if it's an intermediate, if the board's really uncomfortable with the communication officer not, controlling it, but I don't know how much time, it would take less time for her to read over something than it would to actually put it up and everything, but if there's particular content that, she could just just read through just to make sure there's nothing. I don't know. I
What's
don't know if that
interesting-
would help the board.
And
if
I
they feel
don't,
uncomfortable.
I certainly don't want to doubt, so there is gonna be some general content, right? Here's what a comprehensive plan is, here's what, the rest of it or a lot of the rest of it is gonna be work product,
Right.
right? And so it's gonna be something that we'll take the chapters, for example. A chapter is gonna be produced, a draft's gonna be produced of a chapter. We're gonna give it to this committee's gonna mark it up, give us your thoughts on it, put your stamp on it. And then it's gonna go, then it would go to the website, right?
Draft.
As a draft, exactly, and so the opportunity, and I don't wanna presume, because I haven't read the town's communications policy, but a lot of times what you're trying to avoid is editorialism, right? You don't wanna espouse a position of the community that the town board hasn't endorsed and approved, or a voice or a message. And so so long as this committee, before we put anything live, and certainly the town's communication officer, before we make the full frame of the website live, they look at it, make sure it's in the right voice, make sure it's delivering the right message. Then from there, all of the uploads are simply work product and not something that would be editorial or position or anything.
So maybe we could just have that in the middle, like the communication officer have the opportunity to review before it goes live, and then the rest will be things that are already moved in. Yeah, as drafts. I think that maybe would make them more comfortable.
Caitlin?
Yeah. It's really the editorializing, or when, like, that's why the only reason we were comfortable the town board was comfortable going towards being on Facebook is that we wanted it to be a source of good, of accurate information. And so that it was very clear that someone was reviewing it, and it's not just any number of people who could be posting, right? So, so I think the editorializing, the opinion making, like, that is something that the town board has previously been uncomfortable with, but if it's essentially a platform to post publicly accessible foilable documents, that's a very different thing.
Thanks, so we're all good, right? We have
Yeah.
the motion, we've all voted,
Yeah.
prepare the memo, we'll get it on the agenda.
So I want to say there'll be a second to do on that, once the town board is comfortable and in preparation for the town board getting comfortable. We would ask, the hardest thing for us to develop quickly is really great photography. And so if you all have photos or want to point us to a treasure trove of photos of Ulysses, things that you would like to see featured on the website, that will get that website up that much faster. Angelina and I don't have to rely upon beautiful days like today, because we're heading into a period of time where we won't always get those. So what I'll be doing is I'll send Niels an email just making this request to say, hey, send us your very best photos of Ulysses, and then we'll feed those right to our web folks so that, because we try to make it as visually enticing as possible.
Yeah, how many
So
pictures
have
did
you
you like?
collected?
Have you gotten responses?
Cause it's been in
Or
our town's email, e-newsletter that would look
Yeah.
Yeah.
for photos.
So at the end of spring, on the SharePoint, I put up all the stuff we got for spring. We have out, well, 2/3 of summer now. So what I'll do though is we'll compile that, and then maybe I'll do like some rating. So hopefully you can go through and we'll just rate the
I
top
can
one.
send you a bunch of
That's
pictures.
fantastic. That's great.
And I don't know property rights or photos or anything like that. I know there's one of the Trumansburg community happenings groups on Facebook has also been doing a similar effort where every season they put out a contest to vote for photos of the town.
Hmm.
So I don't know if we know the folks that lead that group, but there's some really beautiful photos of the town, everything from farms to sunsets to animals to kids to parks.
Yeah.
So
Maybe you don't have.
And just to be credited in a document like the comprehensive.
it's on there.
Yes, why not?
I don't go on that often. I just see it.
I just wanted to throw that out. It sounds like we got plenty of opportunities.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. Great. So we've got that action item done and we're going to be taking that to the town to get the amendments so we can start working on this wonderful website masterpiece. Kim, I don't know if you had any questions or comments. I just don't want to keep bypassing you if you want to chime in on anything.
Actually, I was just sending an email to Niels. I was wondering if I could get a link to one of the sites that the vendor, the partner is hosting, just to see what that looks like compared to what the Ulysses site looks like.
Yep, I can do that.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
All right. So now,
One more quick thing under
Yeah.
digital, the other digital opportunity that we shared, and that you all can consider is the mobile phone application. We talked about this in our interview, and we talked about it in a prior meeting. The mobile phone application is something that folks in town or stakeholders generally can download to their cell phone, doesn't require any kind of registration. What it will do is, if you do decide, if the town board does authorize us to create the standalone website, it will be naturally interconnected to the website. It's the same content management system. So not something for you to decide today, but when you see the website, if you look at that and say, hey, folks in town who want to know the second the website is updated could get a notification on their phone if they opted in or if they're interested in that. Also, when we have events, it'll push a notification to the phone. Hey, there's an event happening this week. Don't forget to stop by. Don't forget to fill out the survey, etc. So be thinking about that. We obviously, we want to pay total respect to the town communications policy and strategy. This is not additional information. It's a second vehicle for information. And so we'll see how comfortable the town board is with a standalone website. And if they are, we'll come back and talk about that mobile phone application.
all right.
Could that also incorporate like specific questions? I'm
Yes.
just thinking about like targeting the younger generation, and
Yeah.
that's the only way that they're gonna probably engage if their phone asks them a question.
Yes.
So.
It's one of my favorite features of it is the single issue survey or short burst survey where we want to know that we know this week is a particular event in town or start of school, for example. How was bus pickup and drop off today? Or how did first day of school go? Those kinds of questions that'll help us create future questions, right? For broader survey efforts or for focus groups, that kind of thing. So yes, It's perfect for instant it's the platform is called Instant Input. So it's perfect for instant communication. If you want to check it out, I think it's instantinput.com, but we'll get to that.
What would be an idea is to put a QR code in the school buses.
That's a great idea too, yeah.
Yeah, when they walk in, there's a QR code, they can snap it, which they're probably gonna do just for curiosity.
But they let you do that?
I was gonna say, who's buddies with the superintendent?
I,
Because
I, I doubt, I know.
the school districts are very tough about these.
I think there's definitely some ways we can get creative.
Yeah.
That could be an option.
I'm just thinking, to get
Yeah.
as much information out there as possible.
Right.
That was one way of
Back to
doing
the
it.
School district, it's a
Right,
lot of people who live in it don't live in this town. And there's a
Well,
whole
I
lot
would
of people who
target
live in
only
this other
certain-
school district.
Yeah, you
and
would
they're
only
very
target certain
sensitive
school
to this,
buses.
So,
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Look, I think we need to keep that in mind, I really do.
Agreed. All right.
So the last, sorry.
No, I was gonna say 6:25.
Yes, so the last
Yep.
piece of the puzzle for tonight, we provided you with a draft project plan that's kind of a month by month look at how this project breaks out. It's funny, we sit and think about how far away next August is, but when you're mapping out the work ahead of you, it comes very quickly. Angelina starts sweating when, that's the person who has to do of the lion's share of the writing. So what we have put together for you is just what's the steering committee going to be into each month? What deliverables are scheduled to be produced each month? How do we expect to engage with the public during a given month? And what we'd be asking of the town board in each of these months. This lines up right with the project schedule that was in the proposal that we walked through last week. So I would just for now, paying close attention to these next 3 months. We're here in September. Tonight, we did finalize close to finalize the public involvement plan. We'll swing back around on focus groups in a moment, but we got there. We knew an initial data review at this meeting was going to be a stretch, as you can tell, but we'll come back to that as well. Nothing for the town board to do. We didn't anticipate, but the public involvement plan the town board is going to take up and the website question. On the deliverable side, presuming that the town board gets back to us in September with a positive response, we can have the website launched in September. That's not going to be a problem at all. The mobile application launch will follow in October if it's something that the committee is comfortable with. We did develop a press release that was distributed. So we can talk about that right before we leave tonight. If we did see some edits that were offered, and we can update that as well. This time next week, say Wednesday, this time next week, you will get the economic base report, which has those initial market and demographic data points for you to review. So we'll want you between now and our next meeting to dig deep into that report and ask yourself, hey, let's do a reality check here. Let's ground truth these numbers, make sure they make sense to us. Rather than sitting at the next meeting and poring over that data, what we'll do is listen to your questions, provide you with the answers we have, or take the questions away and do the research. So you'll see that this coming week. And then the Planning Foundation's memo is our initial review of the outstanding planning documents. Niels will provide us with a list. You all can certainly provide us with documents as well. We talked last month about, and I apologize, it didn't show up in our notes, but we did talk last month about a 2009 plan audit, which we will distribute as well, asking you again, not just about the specific action items, but about the goals and objectives, and do we feel like we're making progress in each of those? So you'll see that coming to you in the coming months, or in the coming weeks, I should say, such that when we get here in October, you will have had the economic base report for about 3 weeks, hopefully. So you'll have plenty of time to dig in that. You'll have the Planning Foundation's memo, which isn't a 10-page document, it's a 3-page document with bullet points on our summaries of each of the planning documents that we've looked at. And we'll have a template for that 2009 audit that we'll share with you, make sure you're comfortable with the template, and then you all can engage in your own comp plan, 2009 comp plan audit. So that's what's gonna happen between now and the next committee meeting. We're going to leverage we're gonna go on a limb that the town board's gonna be supportive of the stakeholder list that you've provided here. We're gonna work with Niels in the coming weeks to develop some outreach to focus groups 1 and focus groups 2. You probably noticed in the project plan, there's enough time in the schedule for 4 focus groups. So what we did was take a stab at your priority policy areas and clumping them into kind of like categories. And the 4 focus groups that showed up were, this is one focus group: economic development, historic preservation, the built environment, and housing. That's focus group number 1. We've looking at the PIP, we've chunked up some of the clear stakeholders in that. We'll circulate that to you to make sure that we got that right, that we clumped them correctly. If you see one that we left off, or if there's one that's not on the list in the PIP that you think we should talk to, throw it in there. Focus group number 2 is in the environment, natural resources, and climate change and resilience. There's also some clear stakeholders for that in the PIP. So same story. Focus group number 3 is capital facilities, utilities, transportation, and parks. Similarly, lots of really clear delineation on who those stakeholders would be. And then finally, rural issues and land use. Those 2 aren't wholly connected, or rural issues aren't any more connected to land use than some of the other things in there. It's just what was left over. And so rural issues and land use got coupled. That's one that's likely to involve lots of different stakeholders anyway, because a lot of people have hands on that. So you'll see the rhythm of this is we meet with the focus group. We download notes from the focus group. We bring those notes to you, sit with you and say, all right, here's what the focus group told us. What are your priorities relative to these critical issues? You give us your priorities and the direction you'd like to see us go with respect to that. We write this draft. We write the draft of those sections. We bring them back to you for review. And that's the rhythm of the plan, right? That it'll go focus group, discussion here, draft. Focus group, discussion, draft. In that sequence. So Niels and I were trading notes this afternoon. It's about to get into a real rhythm here, where every month we're sitting down looking at a specific set of issues, making our notes, understanding what the data says, understanding what the stakeholders in the community say, and then getting it on paper and moving that planning process right down the line. You'll see in here, and we're out of time, I know beyond time, but you'll see in here the opportunities for joint sessions with the town board. Those are visioning sessions and ultimately what we would consider confirmation of direction. We're going in the right direction. And then opportunities here for 2 public forums. In the PIP, I think appropriately so, there are recommendations for other pop-up type events, farmers markets, and that kind of thing. They are not specifically listed here. That is only because we want to sprinkle them in where they make sense. And so each month we can update this project plan to say, all right, it says here 3 months out that there's no public engagement, but actually we know there's this event, we'd like you to table that. So so that's kind of the flow of the project plan, man. It's a lot to throw at you, but
I appreciate this detail. It definitely helps me think about what's going to be happening over the next year and know not to miss meetings.
yes, don't miss meetings. Yes.
So, public forum number 2 is in March. When was public forum number 1?
Public forum number 1, which is in January, I think. Sure.
Oh.
Nope.
No,
March. No.
number 1 is
March.
Number
Number
one is
one is March.
One is
Number
March.
2 is June. June. Yes.
All right.
So in March, that's that we share the vision that came out of the joint session with the town board. We asked the public to weigh in on that. Are we going in the right direction? Public forum number 2 is, hey, here's some of the strategies that we've identified to address the vision. Weigh in on it. Tell us what you're thinking.
So would that be a separate meeting with the town board? Like, it would be an official, like, we'd be able to all talk and everything, would be back and forth. No, the
Joint sessions?
board vision. One, how, are you just viewing, like, you're reporting at a town board meeting, or it's a
I would
more
suggest
of a
it's
discussion
actually,
form?
yeah, actually, I would suggest it's a work session, with both groups kind of on level playing field. You're telling the town board what you're hearing
Or
and
they can ask
learning.
questions and we can say,
Exactly.
well, that's how this came up from our thinking.
Got
Okay,
it.
so it's an extra town board meeting. So I don't know that that one's gonna work in December. Cause there's a lot of stuff in December to do here and it's kind of a month, but that's, I mean, that could be adjusted. I just wanted to know what your thinking was on that.
So
how
in
that
the,
would be.
I'll ask, maybe Neil's drafted the RFP, but the request for proposals indicated 2 joint sessions between the steering committee and the town board associated with visioning, crafting the planning foundation. We interpreted that as a work session between the town board and the steering committee where you guys are brainstorming what a vision statement looks like. So in joint session number 1, we're walking you through an exercise, a visioning exercise that talks about how we get to a vision statement. We're throwing Post-it notes up and really getting down to what the big chunky elements of the vision will be. We're gonna go away. We're gonna mold those together into a couple of draft vision statements. And then joint session number 2 is refining that draft.
I think what I can do is on Tuesday, when I report on kind of where we are on the comp plan steering committee, I can talk about the time frame for that and see if it fits more in January.
Right.
There's nobody's changing this year. Well,
Good.
all our elections are this year. Half of last year, half next year.
There's no better time than December to have 4 town board meetings.
Well,
Though.
that's what I was saying, that it might be good to really lay that out and just so you don't have extra meeting.
So let me just run that by folks.
I know I speak for Angelina when she says she's free on Christmas Eve. And you.
No, but I think overall, I like the way this is going. So I don't know if there's any other comments on the plan. It's still in draft.
Yes, and please do feel free to feed Niels any comments, any feedback, any adjustments that we need to do, and we'll check in and make sure that the next time you see it, it's refined to your expectations.
So I have one thing, which is if we're, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go.
If we're, we're like rolling along on this and everything, and there's things to look at and talk about, I'm just wondering if for the next 2 or 3 meetings, I know, it might not be a popular suggestion, but it should be an hour and a half, not an hour, because an hour is pretty short.
I have the same thought, to be honest.
Really, I mean, it doesn't have to be all the way into the future till the end of this committee, an hour and a half, but I really think that in order to really be able to talk about data and things and everything, we might need that. So I guess I'd like to propose that we make them hour and a half meetings.
Well,
And I
I'm
brought
fine
candy,
with
so don't
that.
get mad.
I don't see.
Or we could just run over. Would you like-
Yeah, I'd like to.
Yeah, put it in the schedule.
What were you gonna say, Mo?
Oh, I just want to know, do you have access to our share?
Not yet, but Niels and I are.
Oh, okay, because if we put notes or anything in there, then you can see them instead of waiting till you get to the
That's great.
meeting and.
And Niels did share, for example, the press release today, he was able to provide advance notice to us of what the notes were and we can.
Oh, I didn't
They're
know
minor.
about putting notes on, I did have something I wanted to suggest about the press release, but I didn't know about putting it in the notes. I missed that, I'm sorry. So I can try to do that or send it by email. It's,
Yeah, I was gonna say, please, moving forward, let's use Microsoft as much, aside from Outlook.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we can keep emails to a minimum.
yeah, no, I think it makes good sense, I just missed it, sorry, they put up bigger letters. Your comment, like I just
I
missed,
missed it too.
I missed that we could comment on this and that you wanted it in the notes, so. But that's just my bad, but I'll be glad to, I'd like to put something in there. I don't know how it's decided, how's it gonna be decided what the final thing is? I mean, it's not a massive change, it's just.
I mean, mine is
Sustainability
reminder.
soapbox, yeah,
I had,
Right.
I had.
okay,
sustainability,
just I would like to
actually.
take something out of
my
the,
book.
I'd like to take something out of the, you know, the proposal, I mean, that we, there's wording or just a little bit in there about that, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just look at it and decide somehow on the.
I was gonna suggest if you all could feed notes in
Mhm.
and then delegate to the chair or to the co-chairs to give final blessings so that Niels could release it between now and the next meeting.
No, that's fine. Will work.
So we just put them in, there's a special place for notes for this.
Well, that's what I was just gonna ask Neil. Here it is. Where do we put notes?
Thanks, Mo.
Notebook.
Notebook?
There's an app called Notebook.
Yeah,
Notebook.
oh,
Okay.
okay, so here we are,
Meetings
meetings.
and Matt,
Okay, so here's all the meetings, so now what?
I know.
so this is where you can put in your comments. You can either do it here.
Excuse me?
You can either do it here, or
do
you
you
can do it
have
through the
any comments
document
on
itself. So
proposed
it's up
plan?
to the SharePoint.
Well, I just wanted to apologize to Niels and Molly. I found the links to the external
back.
sites in the minutes. And I was able to check out some of the sites. They are really nice quality sites. And from a public perspective, I also like that they have catchy URLs. They're picking up a domain like Boonville Forward, the other ones Forward. And I think that you're going to get better engagement with like Ulysses Forward or something like that, that you can just say to people, go to this website instead of go to the Ulysses website, click here, click here. I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying there's anything wrong with the Ulysses site. But in my real job is I'm the deputy IT director for Tompkins County. So I deal with this stuff all the time. So for me, like when I see things like this, I always think to myself, this is what you're going to want to do. And what Niels is proposing here is very forward in the concept of how to get people's attention. You contract this out, you work with this company, they secure a domain name, and then we all start talking about it and we make sure that we share it, Ulysses Forward, and it becomes a thing. And a lot of them have like logos, I've noticed, things that are visual and catchy. And while I like the idea sometimes of QR codes and things like that, it's hard sometimes because a lot of people are being trained now to be really careful about like phishing, which is a new thing where you scan a QR code and then you get viruses and stuff. So, well, those ideas sound great. I don't think you're going to get the kids that way. So that's my 2 cents. I really liked the sites. I don't know if there's extra cost involved, so I have no input there, but the sites that they developed are very clean, very easy to read. And again, a catchy domain is the way to go in my humble opinion.
Okay, great. Thanks, Matt.
Just quickly, I was gonna say, Niels hit on this early, and we do this a little, we do this with all of our plans, but we can brainstorm four kind of branded titles for the plan, and then circulate a poll and let the committee rank them. And as long as it's not 50-50, if there's a runaway, we can say this was a runaway, everybody good with this, and we can start to secure the domain. That is a big part of the branding of the plan. So
Okay, great. No, I really like that idea.
Yeah,
All right, so I will take this all up on Tuesday with the town board.
right. So do
Um,
we need to vote to say that we're gonna make the meetings for the next month?
Yeah, do we feel
An hour,
comfortable? Do we need a? I mean, I think it makes sense for the next couple of meetings.
Make them hour and a half instead of hour.
Or at least through January.
Oh, well, sometimes it's gonna be longer than that once we start discussing this, so,
Right.
yeah.
But if it's scheduled as
We
I
need to
said
do
to an
it
hour and a half, then at least
If
you know that.
I don't think you do, because when we initially talked, we said ideally it'd be an hour, but provided an hour and a half. So I think once we get to that hour, it'd just be recognition that we're going an hour and a half.
So
But
for the next couple of meetings, just plan on that, and
Yeah.
then
Okay.
we'll try to keep it up with.
Maybe in
hour and
the
a half, but-
notes we sent to the whole committee, because a lot of people aren't
Right.
really say that, we're really planning on an hour and a half now.
Okay.
It's gen-
Just moving forward, the next steps, I know Matt provided some updates, we're gonna get that within
That's
next
just
week,
general
or a week from now, to make sure everybody's reviewed that before our next meeting on October 2nd. The next item on our agenda is member reports. I don't know if folks have reports from their respective other committees. There's an ad meeting on Monday, 9/9 at 7 o'clock at the fire hall for anybody interested. We need folks to come.
Just one thing I'm gonna share with folks, and I started here as we get a little more detail. Kind of an overview of what the town looks like, and this is based on the GIS, like the property view of the town. I had this out last, when we did that thing in the spring, but it gives you an idea to get a little bit of just how the town is broken up with properties along all the roads and the rest of the stuff. This is the whole town of Ulysses. There is errors in here in the GIS data, because if you have what the green should be ag properties, but a lot of the residential ones, if there's an active house on a 80-acre farm, and they'll list it as a residential property, it'll show the color of a residential property rather than the 70 acres that are actually being worked as a farm. So you gotta kind of take that into effect. But for me, it gives you a real good idea of just where all the property divisions and this sort of stuff are happening, and how we already have a lot of the side of many of the highways in the town are already broken up into housing lots. Yeah, I looked from 2018 to the present, the planning board has been averaging about 10 property splits a year in that 7 years. I didn't go back to the first half of the plan, but it kind of gives you a rough idea. You know, they don't automatically become new houses, but it gives you a feel for where the town is going. So this is here.
I love that.
I just left it to get a better, for me, I needed something so I could see the whole town, because the planning board, you see one property at a time. It's too hard to really understand
Is
where
that
the town
online?
is going.
No,
No.
it is, you make it-
You can go on to the,
Oh,
you can go on to
that
the
was
GIS data and pull it up and start skimming through, but I refer to this as my 5th grade art project.
They don't have a full map. They do have a full map, but nothing in that type of detail. You have to take it in sections. And there's no other way to do it unless you pay for it.
I don't know if it still exists, but when we did the zoning update, the last zoning update, and we hired,
The highway
the
map.
two folks, that's name I can't remember now, the town hired, and there was the zoning update steering committee. In the beginning of that, in the first public meeting, they had a PowerPoint presentation where they had like 19, whatever, 70, and then 19, 80, 90. I mean, it wasn't every 10 years, but they had pulled that together. So if that still exists somewhere on town, in the annals of town storage, you know, that could be something interesting, and that could just be updated a little bit further.
Yeah.
If you all use Google Earth at all,
Yeah.
it obviously doesn't have parcel lines, but
Randall and
you
West.
can see the development activity over
Over
the
time, yeah.
Right.
10-year increments. You can fast forward through the decades and it'll show you how the town developed.
Yeah, I don't know if they still have it. It was Randall and West, and actually CJ Randall is now the director of planning for it. So.
And David West
Maybe
is the
she-
director of engineering.
In Geneva, right, so maybe one of them still has their old file, but anyway, that was pretty interesting, and I thought it was quite telling, you know, like just looking at, this is what's happening, here's our comp plan and how it does or doesn't jive with it.
Yeah.
Because it was a zoning update, so it's worth checking out if that still exists. I don't know if that's like, it was interesting. And it goes right along with what Carl's doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other reports? If not, our next meeting is gonna be October 2nd at 5:30. We will go till 7. And with that, if there were no other comments, we could
I will make a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right, thanks, everyone. We
Thank
will
you.
see you in a couple weeks.
Yep.
See you
Can we
Monday.
put up times?
See you Monday.